Oh man, he's so ugly, but nevertheless we have to start this video from Donald Trump. And what he stated yesterday about Ukraine, basically it's the confirmation of the Trump's bias.
Things change. People go into war, think they're going to win the war, and then they get their asses kicked. And they lose their country, and they lose millions of lives. Nobody goes into a war thinking they're going to lose. They go in, I'm sure that Ukraine thought they were going to win. It's going to be, we're going to win. You're going to beat somebody that's 15 times your size. Biden shouldn't have let that happen. Biden shouldn't have. I mean, the man was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. That would have never happened. But you don't go into a war that's 15 times your size.
How is it possible to comprehend, like for average person, what he says? Ukraine didn't go into the war against Russia. Russia did it. Russia attacked Ukraine. What Trump is saying is constant delusional information, like it has nothing to do with reality. That is why, guys, despite what is happening, those meetings with Europeans, with Putin, blah, 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 this guy is incompetent. He's ruling United States, unfortunately, right now. Everyone around him, including Pete Hegseth, Witkoff, they're incompetent as well. So we shouldn't expect anything good from Donny. He continued with the same rhetorics. They equalize Ukraine and Russia. There is no morale, nothing. Yeah, later on I'm gonna show you the real reason for them to meet with Putin in Alaska. Just bear with me. So yeah, yesterday there was the conference. Also, Witkoff went to the press with his stupid rhetorics about Ukraine too.
President Putin at the Alaska summit, Brett, actually acknowledged that this war would never have happened if the president had been in office.
And did he also say that at that Alaska summit that he wanted peace? Did he tell you that he wanted to bring an end to the war?
Absolutely. There's a peace proposal on the table. He has certainly said that, and hopefully he stands by that.
What a delusional fuck. My friends, I'm in lack of the usual words of how to describe those people in charge, yeah? Despite all of the signals, and Russia sends them directly to Donald Trump, to Witkoff, that they want to continue the war. Putin even canceled the meeting with Zelensky, and he was capable to convince Donny that ceasefire is not good. So here they believe that Putin wants peace. And that the peace proposal is on the table. Peace proposal from Russia, which equals capitulation of Ukraine, because in this peace proposal, Russia wants actually the ceasefire, but only in case Ukraine voluntarily gives them lands. Mainly Donbass, yeah, Donetsk, Oblast, Luhansk, and Russia in this case promises not to attack Ukraine any longer, and even not to strike Ukrainian-controlled territory of Kherson and Zaporizhia regions, despite Russia put those regions in their constitution. So de facto, from the Russian perspective, they will not fight for their own territories. Interesting. So Donald Trump and all of those clowns, they want this war to be over. Yes, it is true. They want to make it as fast as possible. And Ukrainian capitulation, if it happens, it's also a case scenario for them. And you may ask, what is the main reason for it? Well, Witkoff stated it openly yesterday during this meeting.
And there's only one thing I wish for, that noble committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since the Nobel Peace, this Nobel Award was ever talked about, to receive that reward. Beyond your success is game-changing out in the world today. And I hope everybody one day wakes up and realizes that.
Guys, I'm monitoring the Russian news, yeah? And even there is no such a direct, open ass leaking happening of their leader. It is only happening in USA and in North Korea. Our Donny, our brightest son, our leader, our God, really equals Kim Jong-un rhetorics, even though United States is still democracy from what I understood, yeah? But Donny behaves like pure dictator. And what Donny said yesterday about Zelensky.
Now, I have to also see, because not everybody, Zelensky is not exactly innocent either, okay? It takes two people to tango, and I say it all the time. You got to get them together. I get along with Zelensky now, but we have a much different relationship because now we're not paying any money to Ukraine. Stop that. We're paying money to ourselves. What's happening is NATO is buying all of the equipment and paying in full.
Be proud that you are not supporting democracy, nation which is fighting against direct aggression. So for Trump, this act of the Russian army in Ukraine, full-scale aggression, is nothing. Mistake of Russia. Now we need to settle it down somehow. And about Zelensky, two people to tango. He wants tango with Putin. Trump, are you an old orange pervert? Aren't you? The Wall Street Journal says that Trump wants European troops in Ukraine. Europe's voters aren't convinced. Yeah, European voters are not supporting this idea. For example, there was the poll that 56% of Germans opposed this idea, as well as 60% of Poles. People in some of the European countries only see the peacekeeping mission after the war is over. So Trump is looking even for this solution, like if there is the ceasefire, European forces could be deployed as the part of the security guarantee for Ukraine, but I honestly think that it will not happen. Here, Donny wants just to convince Zelensky to sign the capitulation agreement with Russia, to give up Donbass, the most fortified area of Ukraine, and as exchange, you'll have some of the European forces, couple of thousand probably. I would never ever believe that, and Ukraine now has to rely on its own army and military support, which is now quite limited. Actually, European forces are not needed in Ukraine if Ukraine gets enough military support. Different kind of weapons, tanks, armored vehicles, aviation, long-range missiles. And without it, yeah, there could be even the variant for Europeans to fight against Russia, but not on Ukrainian territory. It could be their own countries. Yeah. That's why European politicians are so concerned about the destiny of Ukraine, but at the same time they are not willing to help full scale. So what the hell is happening in USA, guys? You tell me, I am far away from your country, but this looks like pure cult. By the way, Trump again said yesterday about 2 weeks, so we'll see how this war may finish in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we're gonna see everything. Plus, he noticed that what Russia says about Ukraine, about meeting with Zelensky, giving up Ukrainian territories, is bullshit. Yeah, it was the quote. That is what he said to journalists. Yeah, I can slur here, but not the president of the United States, I guess. Well, soon, I guess tomorrow, there's gonna be talks between Vitkov and Ukrainian representatives. Probably Vitkov will try to convince the Ukrainian side to surrender, but no, it will not happen. Well, Italy proposed the fifth article-like security guarantees for Ukraine in case of the ceasefire, but those guarantees, I think, will not include the deployment of the forces to Ukraine. Nevertheless, it's better than nothing, I guess, and some of the countries, they support this idea of Giorgia Meloni. And this is the real reason for meeting with Putin in Alaska. They want to make some sort of the big business around ExxonMobil, because there are now negotiations started between ExxonMobil officials and Rosneft, the biggest Russian oil company, about the common development of oil resources in Russia and also in Alaska. According to WSJ, there were secret negotiations between officials. The project Sakhalin-1 was discussed, and the United States is up to give the green light for it. The project of the oil development was agreed even in 1995. American side, ExxonMobil, was included in it, as well as the companies from India and Japan. But after the United States of America applied sanctions on Russia, Russia confiscated the part of ExxonMobil in this project. And now Donald Trump wants to get American shares back. And to get it done, he wants to forgive Russia everything. So no morale at all, guys, just business. How some experts say, real politics, without any sort of the morale and soul. There was the information shared today that Donny was capable to convince Orban to lift his veto on help for Ukraine, military support, economy support, and also on blocking Ukrainian EU membership. But no, this information is not correct. Orban still follows the same policy. However, Donny definitely called to Orban. It happened during the meeting with Zelensky and European leaders, where Donald Trump asked Orban to lift all of those restrictions. Orban disagreed with that. Restrictions stay. I think they will stay till April. Then the next elections happen in Hungary, and Orban, I hope, will lose those. Well, at least now he has lower support than Hungarian opposition party TISA. Oh, I see a real reason now why the National Guard was deployed in Washington, D.C. Cleaning purposes. I thought that they're gonna patrol the streets, but they're doing cleaning stuff. Do you think they get paid for it? Absolutely no. Well, I guess still better than rolling out the red carpet in front of the Putin's airplane. Yeah, USA under Donald Trump has never been like this. And more about crazy United States politics. According to Reuters, Denmark summons United States envoy over suspected influence operations in Greenland. The Danish intelligence services find out that there are some of the individuals connected with Donald Trump who are trying to establish contacts with Ireland and working to weaken its ties with Copenhagen, so with Denmark itself. Basically, USA here tries to separate Greenland from Denmark. Yeah, similar to what Russia did in Crimea, actually. At first, they used the soft power, trying to separate Crimean people from Ukraine, saying that they do not belong to Ukraine, they are Russians, despite that ethnically Russians were minority in this island. Yeah, still large percentage, but mostly they were Ukrainians and Crimean Tatars. Yeah, now it's obviously different because Russia poured their own citizens there. Again, it shows similarities between Russia and USA here, with Trump and Putin, it's better to say, yeah? Alright, interesting article from the side. They say that Ukraine is responsible for kabooming the Nord Stream pipelines, the gas lines which were kaboomed in 2022. In their article, they mentioned that there were 7 of the Ukrainian citizens, including one woman who is a diver specialist and once dived to 104 meters. The sabotage group operated from the yacht Andromeda. The investigation team claims that they found DNA samples and fingerprints on that boat or yacht. By the way, the group coordinator, Sergei K., was recently arrested in Italy. In article, they say that operation was likely supported by Ukrainian structures, official structures. So could it be the operation conducted by Ukraine just from the sailboat? 7 people on a sailboat delivering somehow TNT over there? I would say it still sounds kind of weird for me, but after the spiderweb operation, it is understandable that there are no borders for Ukrainian operations. Well, if Ukraine did it, I may understand why. Because Europe continued to purchase Russian gas, sending money for the Russian army by the time Russia started their full aggression, and they're still doing it now. By the way, Ukraine applies sanctions on Ust-Luga gas port, so Europe doesn't obtain enough ships now after the recent strike. You may say that it is kind of harmful for European allies, but they have alternate. Yeah, it's more expensive compared to purchasing Russian gas, but Ukraine fights for its own interests, and I don't think that this operation is possible just with those 7 crew members. I think it was supported by some of the main ally of Ukraine. Which country? For now, I will not tell you, but I have my own thoughts about it. We'll see how investigation continues and what they will find out. What the hell is happening in USA, guys? This prick, he did a mass shooting. It was a local church school in Minnesota. Several of the people were unalived, and look at what was written on the gun, automatic gun. As police reports, the semi-automatic gun, K.A. Donald Trump. There was no Donald Trump at that school, 100%. Well, the guy kaputted himself and it was his shirt, yeah, FSB. And that guy who did it, he really had some of the mental disorder because, yeah, how can you explain it logically, yeah? There is no explanation for this. Also, he wrote in Russian on those magazines some hatred words, I would say. Vodka and electronic waffe, rap, what? It has no sense. Again, he wrote hatred, kill yourself, is like, what?
Пока, пока, моя брата, пока.
He even spoke Russian. He said, goodbye, my brothers, and throw in some of the bullets. People say that he or she, it's better to say, a transgender. What can I say? A really sick person here, and I wonder if there was extra brainwashing from Russian FSB, because they might do this stuff. They sometimes brainwash even Ukrainians to commit attacks on Ukrainian volunteers, as it happened not long time ago with Sternenko, for example, Ukrainian volunteer. FSB called to random woman, they sent her a pistol and she tried to shoot Sternenko. So obviously FBI should search for the possible trace, especially when we have this those Russian words here and there. It's not okay. So there could be definitely the connection there. Strangely, but Western media do not show those images with the Russian words. Well, probably that's why I do my job here. Guys, yesterday I uploaded just one video because there were some of the YouTube glitches, and I will upload more videos today, so stand by, and there will be the front lines update too. Again, many thanks for my Patreon supporters, guys. You are doing a fantastic job maintaining my motivation to film more videos. Guys, stay awesome, and for everyone, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.